A massive thank you to Tammer, Declan, Daniel, Scott and Kai for subscribing to the channel. If you're already featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below. Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with round 3 of season 2 of the F1 22 My Team career mode. Yesterday we returned for the Australian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the last video that went live yesterday from Saudi Arabia, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But today though, yeah, back in the land down under at Albert Park. I apologise as well. I may have made a bit of an error at the end of the last video saying we were heading straight to Imola. Completely forgot, of course, Australia on F1 22 is right back at the start of the season where it belongs. Australia, I firmly believe, should be the season opener. But of course as well, a massive thank you to all you guys for the continued support on the channel. At the time of recording this, we're just about to tick over 72,000 subscribers. So, you know, if you're not already, please do make sure you click that subscribe button down below. Help us get one step closer to 80k. And of course the big goal by the end of the year there, 100,000 subscribers. But yeah, we've got plenty of work to be doing still at this early stage of the campaign. Having a look at the Drivers' Championship though, a four-way tie for P4 between Max Verstappen, both McLarens and myself at the moment. We're sat 5th in the Constructors' Championship as well, just a little way behind a Red Bull, but you know, sort of very much sort of pushing ourselves into that best of the rest position there as McLaren seem to have made a jump forward at the start of the year. No one is anywhere close to Mercedes though. 2 perfect weekends so far to kickstart the year for them. But as we head in towards Albert Park this weekend, fingers crossed, you know, another high-speed circuit. I feel like we've got very good top-end speed in the car. That should play into our hands. Then, of course, when we get to Imola, Spain, Monaco, things might go slightly differently. So we've got to enjoy these races early on in the campaign. Let's get into it then here for the Australian Grand Prix. Right, well here we are then, back at Albert Park, and of course this season, Oscar Piastri, our teammate's home Grand Prix as well, so fingers crossed he can have a good weekend out here. We kind of didn't give him enough credit last weekend after a very disappointing start back in Sakira, of course finished last in that Grand Prix. Saudi Arabia last weekend just missed out on the points, so certainly is finding his feet in the car and in the team as well there, and doesn't help of course for him the fact, yeah, we've certainly been feeling confident early on in Season 2. But fingers crossed, you know, points will come quite soon for Oscar. We've definitely got a nice, well-rounded car at the moment, so that surely should play into his hands. We just missed out on the purple score on my first lap, second time through, though. I think we're just about going to get it. There we go. We need the R&D points still early on this year. We've got a good sort of flow of upgrades coming in. Now the facilities are getting more upgrades on them as well. And just making sure we're picking up all the R&D is essential. It is such a fine balance now trying to work out how much wing you need here at Albert Park. You know, you really just want to be as quick as you can around the back half of the lap, but it's so technical early on there as we just about get the green score on my first lap in the race simulation run. There we can see just how much curb I'm having to take there, really chucking the car through the first couple of turns there just to make sure we stay in the green. That being said though, I forgot just how much of a difference it makes to get the ERS upgrades on the car. It just gives you so much more potential pace to try and utilise, because of course not only are you able to harvest more energy, but it then means you can use it more around the lap as well. And I think, yeah, you kind of forget just how important that is on the F1 games. You know, an extra, what, 160 brake horsepower, doesn't sound like a much, but yeah, it really does help, especially around, you know, these first 3 races of the year, when you can use that, you know, for a couple of seconds more a lap over last season. That makes a big difference. Right in the final corner then, a little bit of early there on the ERS, but we are going to pick up yet another purple score. This is going really well to start the weekend. Right in the final couple of turns then of my fuel simulation run. I've always struggled around the final couple of corners here at Albert Park, and to be honest, if we can just get in the green, that'll probably be a win, which we won't. We just miss out. Apparently, I don't know how close we were there, but not quite the way we wanted to end up in that run, but the fuel sim round here can be near impossible. So, you know what? We'll take it, and we'll get into qualifying. Before we jump into that, though, I just wanted to let you know of a brilliant competition going on hosted by Imperium Experiences. Have you ever wanted to attend the Italian Grand Prix? Yes, the home of Ferrari, the Temple of Speed, and of course the mighty Tifosi. Imperium Experiences are offering you the chance to win 2 tickets for the weekend and a 3-night stay at a 4-star hotel. All you have to do is enter their competition on their site linked down below in the description or my bio, and you could be off out to Monza. The competition is limited to just 900 inches, however, and closes on the 6th of August, so make sure if you want to get involved to do it as soon as possible. Currently, they're also offering an extra promotion where if you buy 2 entries, you get a third completely free, increasing your chances to win at an incredibly cheap price. They even have a handy guide on their site on how to enter, so I would definitely recommend checking it out, and a massive thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Right, let's get into qualifying then here from Albert Park, Australia, and I've had to whack on a load more downforce, as apparently the race tomorrow is meant to be all rainy conditions, so we might have to sacrifice a little bit of qualifying pace here to make sure we're comfortable in race trim. Of course, no points available on this Saturday. Of course, sprint weekend next time out at Imola will have points available in it, but yeah, like I said, I think if we can make it into Q3, I'll be incredibly happy. But I have very much geared the car towards a very, very different race condition to the ones we are seeing here at the moment. See a Mercedes just heading down in towards the final couple of turns. That should give us a good idea of what the top cars are doing. Hamilton, there we go, with 17.6. But yeah, up in the aero, actually hasn't made the car feel that much slower, of course, because they're just that much more consistent and quick through these final couple of turns there. As once again, McLaren over 1 lap pace. Seem to be incredibly strong. Out of the final corner, though, we're going to set an 18.6 there, quicker than Schumacher and Ocon. To be honest, about where we'd expect to be after one run. While times have been rapidly improving as I'm trying to make it out of Q1 on just 2 sets of tyres, but round in the final corner we go. Yeah, currently down in P20 there, we're only ahead of K-Mag and Esteban Ocon. What a disappointing start to the year it's been for Esteban Ocon, it must be said. But yeah, we only need a few tenths of a second, but as long as we can kind of set ourselves up nicely into a rhythm ready for Q2, we'll wait and see what goes down. If we come down in towards the final set for them, 4.5 tenths up at the moment. That would certainly be enough to see us through into Q2 there. We just got a couple of cars battling just in front of me, so fingers crossed they don't get in the way and spoil our lap here. It's definitely getting used to the more wing, and it doesn't actually feel any slower at the moment than what we ran in free practice. Out of the final corner, 3/4 of a second up then. This is surely going to see us through into Q2. We're currently last, and now we're P13. Not brilliant, but better. And like I said, you know, we've sacrificed a lot of the pace in qualifying to hopefully have a better race car, so I'm going to use both sets of fresh tyres here in Q2, and if we make it through, we'll get one run and see how much higher up grid we can go. If we don't, then I'm not going to worry about it all too much as we head back down in towards turn 1 there. Nice tidy run through the first couple of turns. Cycle back up, activate the DRS on the exit. Used to get quite loose and lively on the exit there, but now, of course, with the ground effect, really able to put the power down. It certainly does make a difference around some of the lower speed technical parts of this track. I know I keep saying it, but I really did love the old version of Albert Park, but yeah, this one is so much fun as well. There is a complete roller coaster as Mick Schumacher only down on an 18.9. You're going to need a high 17, I feel, if you want to make it into Q3 there, as that was quite a nice tidy run through the S's. But as we head down in towards the final sector, just trying to work out how late I can break into there still. It is rather off-putting, because I don't think they've changed where the gantries are. I think they have obviously just sort of reshaped the corner, but haven't actually moved where the brake markers are. So you're kind of trying to guess between the 100 and right towards the 50. But Hamilton now on a 17 flat. We are going to do an 18.1 for a benchmark there. That's pretty decent, as we got a Ferrari of Daniel Ricciardo, home race, out in the gravel trap. Not too sure what's gone on there. We're currently a couple of tenths away from Alex Albon, who's sat just on the cusp of making it through into Q3. For the second weekend in a row there. Williams, yeah, really have found something in their qualifying pace, but make sure we stay out ahead of whichever Mercedes that is behind us. Max Verstappen, though, in the drop zone as well. That was not the tidiest run through turn 1 there. We lose a little bit on the exit of the corner, but as we head down in towards turn 3 and turn 4 there, again, just not quite spotting the up marks where we need to be there. Trying to make the track as wide as possible as we swing through the car park, turn 5 and turn 6. They're easy flat with the extra aero, and now we need to try and get a good run out of here. Suddenly becomes a very, very critical corner around Albert Park there as we do find a bit of time, push ourselves back up into the green, try and scrub off as little speed as we can as we head down the back straight. But look at this, George Russell now all over the back of me. We cannot afford to battle the Mercedes here towards the end of my run as we try and get a nice tidy run again through the S's there. Use all the curbing on the exit, but now we're really going to have to try and nail the final few corners of the lap as George Russell trying to fill my mirrors. No, George, why? You just can't put the power down on the curb in there. Why would George Russell go for that in a qualifying run there? That is just so idiotic. He's even rammed me through the final couple of corners there. We may as well just finish off the lap anyway in front of him. That is so annoying. Out in Q2 for the Grand Prix there. We could have definitely, if we'd nailed that final sector, made it into Q3 once again. Well, there we go then, having a look at the Q2 results. Valtteri Bottas P1 for McLaren there. What pace have they got in that car at the moment there? I mean, even Lando Norris able to sandwich himself between the Mercs there. But McLaren Mercedes on the front two rows. Carlos Sainz gets up into P6 there in his Alpine, so a good showing by them. But K-Mag and Albon once more making it into Q3 there. That is a brilliant showing by Aston Martin and Williams there. Verstappen, though, out in Q2, ready for the Australian Grand Prix. But the wet weather is coming. Let's jump into it then here for the Australian Grand Prix. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
It's race day here in Melbourne as we continue with what could shape up to be one of the best Australian Grand Prix ever. We're a stone's throw from the enormous Port Phillip Bay for today's race at the 3.28-mile Albert Park circuit. It's a bumpy racing surface here, and the 14 corners can prove especially difficult in the wet conditions. So watch out for a safety car at some point during this Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Bottas, Charles Leclerc and Sainz, Perez, Magnussen, Ricciardo and Alex Albon, Stroll, Verstappen, Esteban Ocon and Tsunoda, Mr. Monaco, Gasly, Oscar Piastri and Nicholas Latifi, Schwartzman, Mick Schumacher, Joe and Felipe Drugovich. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Yep, I think points this weekend is probably a fair shout here. If we can try and recover back from P15, I would be very happy indeed. But like I said, meant to just be intermediate conditions all afternoon long here in Albert Park. Maybe if we're feeling incredibly brave, we won't be able to try and take these inters right the way through to the checkered flag. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves just yet then. 29 laps though still around Albert Park. Again, in the intermediate conditions, getting a clean start is absolutely essential here. We've seen so many iconic scenes before here at Albert Park, you know, especially in these treacherous conditions. I always remember Vitaly Petrov, I think it was 2011, at the Australian Grand Prix, where he made up like 8 places or something ridiculous off the start. That is the energy I'm trying to channel here. Right, we're round in the final corner then, trying to line ourselves up on the grid. We only got a green score last weekend, and I told myself in Bahrain it was going to be purples all year long. So let's just wait and see what we can do. Yeah. Oh, whoa, whoa! Sorry, Sonoda. Almost got Sonoda then and pitched him round. There we go, purple score. Ready on the grid though, here for the Australian Grand Prix. 5 red lights at Albert Park. And it is going to be not a hold at all there as we try and put the power down as we go. Oh, look at that Sonoda immediately trying to get aggressive with me. Verstappen gets a horrible start on the inside, but will have the room to send it back at turn 1 there. Completely hops over the curb there, Verstappen. What you doing, man? Off the start there, crazy. Crazy from the Dutchman. How do I get a warning for that off the start? Luckily, it seems like we've got away with it. It's Alex Albon not getting the start he would have wanted as we head down in towards turn 3 there. I think that was Max Verstappen again. No, it was Nicholas Latifi that time round, trying to get aggressive there, but everyone trying to make up places off the start. We all know how good an opportunity it is there. It's all over the curbing around the outside of the Thai driver of Alex Albon, who is just going to slot back in front of me here. Here comes Yuki Tsunoda though. Everyone is trying to make moves off the start though. We have not got the run off the corner there, almost into the wall. Latifi flies past me as well. Here comes the Dutchman once more, and one of the worst starts I think I've ever seen for Max Verstappen in a Grand Prix there. But can we have a look at the inside of Latifi? No, we cannot. And yeah, as Mark has pointed out there, despite all the carnage and chaos, we actually haven't lost, haven't gained off the start here in Albert Park. You can already see on the minimap, Sergio Perez having a good start up in P5 there, but the McLarens and the Mercedes already trying to pull away at the front of the field as we head through the final couple of corners of this opening lap there. Do not want to spend the afternoon looking at Nicholas Latifi's gearbox, but who leads the way then at the end of lap 1? It is Lewis Hamilton, of course, yeah, one of the best wet weather drivers we've ever seen in Formula 1, so you kind of expect him to be at the front of the field there. We haven't lost, we haven't gained at the start, but I certainly want to move past Nicholas Latifi. It's always so important, especially in these changeable condition venues, you know, where it's not quite fully wet, but certainly nowhere near dry. You spend the first few laps just sort of dialing the car and making sure you feel comfortable and confident with it, and then you try and work out where the car in front of you is struggling. Nicholas Latifi, again, we are just not quite getting the line hooked up through there, but yeah, definitely feel like we've got more pace over a few of the cars in front of us. You know, the likes of the Williams, they absolutely should be quicker than here, but they're just, I mean, look at that. You can't use the battery out of that corner there. The AI can, and then suddenly towards the end of the straight, you can start closing in again, as that was rather scary. Luckily, again, we get away with it with no damage. Tyre faced a wall. I would not recommend doing too many times, however, as somehow, I've only just noticed we've got the DRS in this Grand Prix. That seems brave by the FIA. Oh, Latifi! Little mistake there at the end of the back straight, and I said you got to try and watch for the AI mistakes. And there we go, immediately. Latifi gets dispatched and back up into P14. Well, I'm certainly not saying it's dry enough yet in this Grand Prix, but if we do see the rain sort of fade a little bit here, I'm not saying it wouldn't be impossible for cars to maybe consider making the switch over to dry compound tyres when the pit stops come round. I think we'll just have to be careful for it all afternoon, as yeah, tyre wear so far isn't that bad when you consider we've probably gone through the worst 5 laps of the Grand Prix for it. Maybe, if you know, we just focus on it, because you don't really tend to lose much pace as the inters wear out. We could consider trying to get to the end on one set, but it would have to be brave. The only other thing I'm thinking about early on, of course, is how much I don't then want to have to try and get a set of inters up to temperature here, because I just lose so much time to the AI in a few corners there. So if we could try and go for the one stop, that is probably my main motivator at the moment. It's the battle behind me, the two legends of Formula 1, Nicholas Latifi and Max Verstappen going at it, as Lance Stroll there just in front almost got jumped by Esteban Ocon. We've kind of got a little train of, yeah, 5 cars, 5 teams at the moment, and definitely feel, you know, Stroll has always been on the cusp of points this year. Of course, scored in Saudi, but threw it away late on in Bahrain, as K-Mag actually applying pressure to one of the Ferraris up the road. But at the moment, yeah, just sat in this train, you can't really do a whole lot. Whoa, I'm so sorry, Yuki Tsunoda. I completely outbroke myself down at turn 3 there and had to go to the inside of the AlphaTauri, and that kind of ended up being quite a decent little move, if I do say so myself. Very aggressive, but no contact in the process, so I'm going to claim it as a fair and legitimate overtake there. Certainly one I wouldn't recommend trying to pull off, but yeah, we just slipped up the inside of Yuki Tsunoda there and slipped up into P13. Still making good early progress then, and like I said, trying mainly to focus on the tyres, as Lando Norris, he is really pushing Mercedes here. The first time they've properly been challenged this season. Lando Norris is flying in his McLaren. Oh! As soon as I say that though, Lance Stroll certainly, well, he was us flying almost off into the wall down at the end of the back straight there. Esteban Ocon will now promote himself up into 10th place, and so far this has been Alpine's strongest weekend of the year there. You can see Carlos Sainz battling up between Perez and I'm guessing Charles Leclerc. But yeah, now Esteban Ocon, is he going to be able to romp away? Do we need to try and get past Albon and Stroll? We want to stick close to the Frenchman who wants to try and score his first points of the year. All over the back of Alex Albon as we're just trying to get a little bit more aggressive here in this Grand Prix. Or Albon thought about giving me the room and then thought better of it. We just kind of awkwardly sit, both go, no you first, through the final couple of turns here, but we're pretty much at 1/3 distance then in this Grand Prix. What are the tyres up to? 25-26%. Not perfect, but certainly still able to stretch them out towards the checkered flag there. Like I keep saying, you know, we have gone through the worst phase of the Grand Prix for tyre wear. They start, you know, heavy fuel, and of course you've got to try and put the power down off the grid. We're doing alright. While Verstappen behind is slowly just sneaking his way past all the other cars. Mark wants me in. That's not going to happen. We are going to take the gamble. You see Oscar Piastri still having quite a quiet home Grand Prix here, just has really struggled in the conditions. But I mean, yeah, first ever wet race in a Formula 1 car is what's Albon done? How? Eh? I'm so confused. Was that even an overtake? We've kind of just ended up around the outside of Alex Albon there and now up into P12 of the Grand Prix. Unfortunately, it's also meant Stroll and Ocon starting to pull away just a little bit, but that's the second overtake down at turn 3 that I'm not quite sure how we pulled it off. Oh, Valtteri Bottas out of the Grand Prix suddenly. No idea what's happened to the McLaren. Has he just broke down? We got a safety car. Oh no, what's happened to Bottas? So Bottas then just heading through the final couple of corners. Yeah, it has just completely gone up on the McLaren there. So yeah, heartbreak for Bottas. Parks it on pit lane entry. And as everyone else is trying to come in, that's not a safe place to be. What that does mean, though, is, of course, a lot of cars can now get a cheap pit stop there, as Bottas, there he is, parked on the inside. Gonna screw over our teammate if he wants to try and box as well then, but this was the lap we were meant to be coming in, and I guess the debate about trying to no-stop this race is pretty much pointless now, as can we try and get a nice, clean, tidy stop there? We might actually be able to get the jump on Stroll, as he's way further back down the lane, and yes we do! Up then into P9 of the Grand Prix. That's what we love to see. As I mean, we're probably not going to gain much on a lot of the other cars up the road, but we're up to the points. That's where I wanted to be here. Verstappen as well has jumped his way into P10. Stroll has gone backwards as the safety car almost in the inside wall. Oh, not what Sainz needs either then. Sainz with mechanical issues here, as hopefully once we've closed up to the safety car, we'll have a bit of a rundown of what's going on in the grid. Who's moved forward, who's gone back, and who we should be worried about. Well, having a look at the current running order then, Sergio Perez in the lead ahead of Daniel Ricciardo and Kevin Magnussen. Remember, he got a podium here last season with Haas. He's currently sat up in P3, but I'm pretty certain none of those top 3 have boxed yet in the Grand Prix. So whether they're just trying to get to the end on the no-stop would be rather impressive from the AI there. But Hamilton now P4. Just ahead of his teammate and big rival George Russell. Norris has been relegated down to P6 there behind George, so not too sure. Must have lost the place in the pit lane. Yeah, Sainz, Leclerc, myself and Max Verstappen still driving with a lot of anger, rounding out the top 10 there. Piastri still 14th there. Stroll really got shuffled back down into P15. But yeah, I mean, if Perez, Ricciardo and K-Mag all have the box, we're running pretty well in this race. If not, we're still inside the points, so it's a win-win either way. Oh no! As soon as we get going again, Oscar Piastri out of the Grand Prix there, but we've just got to keep going then, so it must have been an engine failure for Oscar as we get ready to restart once more there. I can't believe that. Our teammate in his home Grand Prix out with just 12 laps to go here. But Sergio Perez is going to lead the way. We've got reigning world champion Charles Leclerc just in front of me as we try and put the power down through the final couple of turns. Remember cold tyres, Matt. Remember cold tyres. Verstappen, I'm sure, will be feeling feisty here as we're going to try and get a little bit of heat into the fronts as we head back down in towards turn 1.
Okay,
Slowly glide the car through. There we go. Pretty much back up to scrub then. So that's exactly what we need off the restart there. But yeah, like I said, Verstappen's going to be feisty between now and the end of the Grand Prix there, as Kevin Magnussen on the offensive, sorry, on the defensive even I should say, from Lewis Hamilton, who's going to try and muscle his way through past the Aston Martin. I think, yes, Hamilton has pulled it off then. So he's now put a car between himself and his teammate George Russell. And we'll now go after the next cars there as Max Verstappen tries to have a look at the inside of myself there. We have to jump over the curbs, but we do hang on. Oh, there we go. Perez. I think it was, yeah, Perez, Ricciardo and K-Mag then all into the pit lane. So we are going to get promoted into P6 then of this Grand Prix. I mean, we got Leclerc and Sainz just in front of us. Surely we can try and get past the Spaniard by the end of this Grand Prix. But yeah, we're back up to where we've in familiar territory then. Of course, finished 6th back in Bahrain there and went one better in Jeddah. Could, with a bit of a miracle, we go one better here. I am feeling confident still as we get into the final 10 laps. Charles Leclerc stuck behind Carlos Sainz. Could we make something happen? I'm still amazed they're enabling DRS in this Grand Prix there. It's just trying to stick close to Charles Leclerc through the first couple of turns. Yeah, I mean, it's surprising. It is certainly wet out here still. There's definitely no chance we're moving on to dries unless the sun really started shining pretty much immediately. But yeah, Leclerc just seems to be strong enough where he needs to be. Of course, that is, you know, a decent Ferrari car in front of me. Let's not get it wrong. It's just Sainz in front of him in the Alpine that might be the cork in the bottle, as Verstappen, still struggling it would appear then, has dropped back in towards Tsunoda's clutches and is no longer applying much pressure to me. I mean, at the moment, yeah, we're just having to accept fate here, and I think just accept the reality that we probably aren't going to be able to try and make the move on Charles Leclerc or Carlos Sainz. The Spaniard, of course, racing his former teammate. There's a lot of, you know, I think pride going on in that battle up the road. It seemed like an odd move from Carlos, but yeah, it certainly hasn't paid off so far this year. Charles Leclerc with 2 podiums. Sainz, I think, with 1 point to his name, but a 4th place here would certainly be a return to where you'd expect Alpine, you know, to try and be fighting.
This rain could be with us for a while. Light rain conditions for the foreseeable future. Okay, not sure whether dries or winters are faster. We're right on the crossover.
Ah, that's interesting then. 6 laps to go of this Grand Prix. We could be getting close to the crossover period in this race. You know, if you're one of the cars further down the order, maybe it's worth a gamble late on in the afternoon there, as we actually set a purple first sector late on in the day. The times are definitely still improving. Part of that, of course, is just as the fuel loads go down, but yeah, definitely noticing there's a lot more dry patches here at Albert Park than there are wet ones now, so maybe someone will take the gamble. So frustrating at the moment. I feel like we can make progress still in this Grand Prix, but Sainz is just the cork in the bottle, and Charles Leclerc, just doesn't seem to want to do anything about it there. As big snap of oversteer out of the final corner. That is going to allow Max Verstappen just to think about getting a bit closer, but we do hang on once more ahead of the Dutchman.
5 laps of fuel remaining. 5 laps of fuel left.
But yeah, I feel like we're quick in the parts of the circuit where you can't really overtake, and then struggling around a bit more of the ones where you can. So just trying to keep it tidy. Really what we need in these final 3 laps is just Sainz or Leclerc to make a mistake and hope that we can slip by, but I'm not convinced it's going to happen. Well, Hamilton then, another new fastest lap as he starts the final lap here in Albert Park, and what has been a very, very weird but very good race for ourselves when all is said and done, as long as I don't do anything stupid on this final tour of the lake. And by the lake I actually mean the actual lake inside the circuit rather than what the circuit has become this afternoon. But yeah, Max Verstappen still applying pressure to me late on in the race there. I've kind of just let Leclerc and Sainz get a little bit away there, you know, don't want to try and, you know, almost see if there's an opportunity anymore, just in case we did something late on in the afternoon. Thought we'd just try and bring home the solid 8 points once more Funnily enough, yeah, 6th place, our joint worst result of the year there as well. Here comes Verstappen on the final lap of the Grand Prix there. Luckily, we should have a bit more top-end speed. And yeah, we do keep the Dutchman at bay for now as we head down in towards the chicane. Trying to tap the curbs through there on this final lap. But yeah, Max Verstappen still trying to apply the pressure here as round in the final few corners then. It looks like it is going to be Lewis Hamilton. Oh no, Sainz! Sainz makes the mistake on the final lap of the Grand Prix there. And if we'd been close enough to Leclerc, maybe, just maybe, we could have tried to find our own way through there. But Verstappen, whoa, Verstappen, he's gone into the back of me. Down in towards the final couple of corners of the Grand Prix. Hamilton, new fastest lap with the race victory. Mercedes are going to make it 3 1-2s in a row there. Lando Norris P3, but we come through for P6 again.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
A great race then, and a fantastic victory here at Albert Park. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip at the best of times anyway, and that's 10 times worse if you're on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a big advantage today.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners. Let's have a look then at the driver's standings. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Often, my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Another team that excelled today were Williams, who make further progress up the table. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Australian Grand Prix, and once more, it's Lewis Hamilton and George Russell top two there. Mercedes, another perfect weekend with the full 44 points there, but another British 1-2-3 there. Lando Norris joining them on the podium. How did we finish 6th? And we're still the worst Brit currently in Formula 1 there. Charles Leclerc does recover to P4 at the checkered flag ahead of Carlos Sainz there, Alpine's first big points of the year. Not sure how Verstappen got driver of the day when we started behind him and beat him to the flag. And of course he crashed into me at turn 1 and one of the last corners of the Grand Prix there. But I guess Natalie Pinkham is, yeah, big fan of the Red Bull man there. Esteban Ocon gets his first points of the year. Albon gets Williams' first points there, just like he did in the real-life 2022 Australian Grand Prix. This time around in P9 there. And Stroll, another point on the board for him in 10th place there. AlphaTauri still yet to open their tally in 11th and 12th there. Perez could recover to P14 after that late pit stop. And yeah, just Piastri and Valtteri Bottas who failed to make it through to the checkered flag. That means championship-wise, Hamilton 8 points clear of his teammate once more at the top of the table there. George Russell in P2. Charles Leclerc third still ahead of Lando Norris there. We jump back up into P4 there after Verstappen and Bottas, of course, finished behind us and didn't finish at all there. Sainz, yeah, back up into P8 then. That's pretty decent for Alpine there ahead of Stroll and Daniel Ricciardo rounding out the top 10 there. Esteban Ocon up into 11th, jumping past Sergio Perez. What a disappointing start to the year it's been for Ricciardo and Sergio there. K-Mag as well, now down to P14. They're getting jumped by Alex Albon and Pierre Gasly with AlphaTauri's 1 solitary point at the start of the year there. Constructors-wise, we're still P5 there. We lose a couple of points to Alpine this weekend, but I think the battle could be between us and them for P5 overall in the championship. Still tied with a Red Bull at the moment there. Aston Martin get relegated to 7th. Williams jump up to 8th. And it is just Haas and Alfa Romeo yet to score after this weekend. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do make sure to leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And we will return very, very soon with more F1 22 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.